We have to, or I will speak in first person. What I've learned to do now, what's next? New, now, what's next? Continuing to celebrate Women's History Month, I'd like to acknowledge this morning Dr. Yvette G. Flores, Distinguished Professor at the University of California, Davis, and the chair of the Department of Chicano Studies. I believe she's the chair of the department. I know she's a distinguished professor at UC Davis. Dr. Flores was born in Colón, Panama, raised in San Jose, Costa Rica, and migrated to the United States in 1965. Educated in South Central Los Angeles and the San Fernando Valley Public Schools, she obtained a BA in psychology from the University of California, Santa Barbara in 1970, and a master's degree in community clinical psychology at California State University, Long Beach, and then completed her doctoral degree in clinical psychology at the University of California, Berkeley in 1982, becoming the first Latina doctorate holder in psychology to pursue an academic career. Dr. Flores' interest in psychology emerged from the challenges of migration her family experienced. She has worked as a research psychologist, university professor, and licensed psychologist for the past 3 decades. Her postdoctoral work in health psychology focuses on substance abuse treatment outcome research and intimate partner violence. Intimate partner violence among Mexicans on both sides of the border is the focus of her current research. Her publications reflect her work bridging clinical psychology and Chicano Latino studies, and she is prominently featured genders, ethnicity, and sexualities in her clinical research and teaching practices. Dr. Flores is the current president of Division 27 of the American Psychological Association, the Society for Community Research and Action. So we salute Dr. Yvette Flores this morning, distinguished professor at the University of California, Davis. Today begins Holy Week, and it's the week of March 24th through 30th this year, which includes Palm Sunday, Holy Thursday, and Good Friday. This Holy Week is important in Christianity. Good Friday commemorates the crucifixion of Jesus, which was the conclusion of several events of Holy Week. The triumphant return of Jesus to Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, the washing of the disciples' feet by Jesus, and the Last Supper. Given the Good Friday events, many wonder why this holiday is called Good Friday. The good in Good Friday does not reflect or describe the events of the day. It comes from the Old English language when good meant holy. And so now you know the rest of the story. And today we look at our topic, New Now, What's Next? And I offer this from a science of mind perspective for our consideration this morning. Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker, in their Book of Affirmations, 365 Days of Richer Living, write this on page 107. I keep the windows of my soul open to new and fresh ways of knowing truth. I let go of the little to accept the more. I let go of the little to accept the more. We are awakening in a new way to the truth that we are bigger than we thought we were. Consider that for a moment. We are bigger than we thought we were. And this is one of the premises of our teaching, to let us know that we are more than this. I think it was Ricky Byers that wrote a song. I don't know, I'm not remembering the title of the song, but some of the lyrics in there are, we are more than this. We are more than this. God is more than this. God is more than this. And it's just a reminder that some of us may come from religious traditions or may have had no religious or faith-based experience and will raise this idea of littleness and submissiveness. We are more than this. God is more than this. We are powerful beyond our wildest imagination. And so as we step into our divinity as divine humans, we are the experience and expression of God itself. It is expressing itself in and through and as us, grounded in the truth of who we are and our vision of who we are becoming. We let this awareness of truth inform every thought, word, and action. We are aware of who we are right now in spirit. And because spirit is forever and ever expanding, we are always at the point of expanding in consciousness, in our awareness of the truth of who we are. And this is why we come together in spiritual community. This is why we have classes. This is why we have other gatherings where we can further immerse ourselves in this truth of knowing that we are more than this. Whatever this is in this moment, we are more than this. We're more than the experience of what the human would define us or describe us as. With this new vision of who we are becoming, we recognize that this is not how we've done it. And so we ask the question, what's next? If we haven't done it that way, then what's next? How do we carry this awareness forward into a larger expression of good in our lives, in our spiritual communities, in our larger communities, and even to the planet? How are we called best to use our power? How do we most effectively shine our light? And this is what it's all about. I remember that before really becoming a student of metaphysics, I had a real challenge when someone would identify me as a person of power. And that was because the image of power that I had as a reference point was what I had observed in the corporate setting that I had worked in, where those who were in management positions, especially senior management, CEO level, and that level of management, what I saw was more of an abuse of power rather than standing in power and expressing compassion, encouraging, giving room for individuals to make mistakes and to learn from that process of making mistakes. That was not the image that I saw. Once I began the study of metaphysics and began to understand that power is not something that is outside of me. It is not something that is given to me by an outside entity. The power is within. The power is within me, and it is the power of spirit that is expressing itself through me. So now I have a broader understanding of power, and that power invites me and invites each of us into a place where we express compassion. We demonstrate loving kindness. We acknowledge one another as expressions of the divine. In the Bible, Luke chapter 2, verse 49 reminds us that we are about our Creator's business. And so knowing this, we consciously, lovingly, and creatively implement a world that works for all. And we continue to do this as we move our feet towards the fulfilling of the vision that we be the change. We be the change. Not we can be, we are. We be the change. We shine our light, illuminating the path for others to walk as we share this joy and this love that we are. Ernest Holmes writes this in Love and Law on page 138, paragraph 2. Not only is there an activity of mind and spirit ready, but it is surging forward with tremendous power. The seed that grows in the crevice in the wall has the power to burst the wall. And living along the coast, how often do we witness this, where that seed that is living in the crevice of the wall has the power to burst the wall? And even we don't have to be living by the coast. If we live in an area where there are trees, we can see the power of tree roots in lifting the concrete sidewalk or lifting the asphalt in the roadway. So it is that natural power in nature that Holmes is talking about. And that natural power is within each and every one of us. It is surging forward, surging us forward into our greater yet to be. And so you may ask, what are some of the practical steps in recognizing what is new, what is now, and what's next? We begin with embodying the principles and the teachings of Science of Mind. We notice our focus evolves from getting to having to being. I remember in the foundations class, one of the first things that the students learn to manifest are parking spaces. So that's the first level of demonstration. So that's the getting. I know that there is the ideal parking space waiting for me, and I may have to circle the block 1 or 2 times, but that ideal spot is there. And so we move from getting into having. I'm having this experience of life. I'm having all of these wonderful and marvelous demonstrations in my life. And then we move into being. I am being that place where God shows up. I am being the one that is compassionate. I am being the one that is demonstrating the love of spirit that is expressing itself through me. We recognize God's wholeness, God's love, and givingness is available to all of us. And I like to add something that the elders used to say when they were talking about the goodness of God. The elders would say when I was growing up, baby, let me tell you, it gets gooder and gooder and gooder as the days go by. Some of our ancestors did not have the grasp of the King's English. And depending on the cultural setting that brought us to this place, if we look at our individual histories, we all migrated from someplace, either willingly or unwillingly. If we look at our historical record, so we bring with us, it's part of our DNA, we bring with us the cultural setting and the language that was familiar to us. And some of us have had to learn a new language because our language was taken away from us. But we know that in the midst of all of this, that when we express the goodness of God, we demonstrate it and we express it in a way that resonates with us and with everyone. Basking in the goodness of God, we know that issues continue to arise. This is part of the human and material world experience that we're living in. However, we continue to rise in consciousness, and our inner happiness no longer depends on an outer situation. Drama abates as we continue to rise in consciousness. Victimhood, past or predicted, fades into the conversation. And we consciously accept our divine humanness and joyfully and gratefully stand in our power. A truth that is this big cannot be just inside of us. And this is the direction that our organization, that our Centers for Spiritual Living is moving in, and is inviting all of us to move along. And this is where we are taking it to the streets. And I think that was a motto of one of our earlier conventions. You know, we're taking it to the streets. And the direction that we're moving now is to even broaden that, taking it to the streets, by being more aware, being more in tune with what is going on around us, and how, as spiritual beings, we make a difference in the world. You know, we're no longer the little quiet center or church or group that is off the beaten path. You know, here our center in Monterey, we're right on the main path, which is a real benefit for us. And so new situations demand creativity, teaching, and vision. And so Spirit is inviting us to open our minds and our hearts to the next step. And we lean into this open question of what is mine to do? And I would like to modify that a bit. What we ask is, what is mine to be? We identify what it is that we're called to be first. What is mine to be? And then what is mine to do? And we release those old patterns of thought and behavior that no longer serve us. We move from strive to thrive. I've spoken about this in past talks, how our survival in the material world has been served by our strongly developed ego, with its thinking patterns rooted in prejudgment, fear, and separation. The ego's duty is to protect. It is to protect. It is our duty to make peace with the ego and to let it know that it is safe, and to acknowledge it for its role that it serves in our lives. At this stage of our conscious evolution, moving from survive to thrive, we choose to be governed by something much bigger than our ego's narrow perspective. To move from just striving to thriving, we are called to release fear and embrace love. To retrain our tendencies toward othering and separation, to celebrate the value of inclusion and connection. And yesterday in our visioning, it's magical in those moments how everybody seems to be on the same page. We may be using different words, but the concepts and the ideas that are evolving are just flowing in perfect synchronicity. And as we were visioning for the grandest, God's highest idea for our Monterey Center for Spiritual Living, spiritual community, what emerged was that we are a safe place. We have created a safe place. We are a magnet for seekers of the truth. We are a place for new beginnings, for new growth, and for new possibilities. But what stood out for me is that what we have created here, as evidenced by our love, and anyone who comes and just walks through that door automatically feels the love that is in the DNA of this space, of this physical space. And it is that love that is within us. It is that love of Spirit that is expressing through us that has created a safe place where we can come together and gather and to share our concerns, to share our experiences, to share our lows and to share our highs with one another and not be judged. Be accepted for who we are. We have something beautiful here, and we need to get it out into the streets. So that's where I'm going to need your help. Let's spread the Spirit, spread this good news of who we are. I like this quote, and it's from an unknown. A thriving fruit tree breathes an exchange of CO2 and oxygen that benefits all creatures' breath. Its blossoms establish a cooperative relationship with the bees. It offers fruit in abundant generosity, feeding birds and animals that then scatter its seeds and ensure its reproduction. And so This is how our consciousness works. We breathe in and exchange this life, this breath force that is revealing itself through us. And we are a benefit. We are I'm thinking of the title of a book that one of my ministerial colleagues wrote. And the title of the book is not coming to me right now. But it's We Are a Beneficial Presence. That was the title of the book. We are a beneficial presence on the planet. We are, each one of us individually is a beneficial presence. And as we share the love of God that we are, we share it abundantly, we share it generously, and we know that as we scatter these little love seeds, one of my teachers used to use the analogy of perfume, is that you can't get perfume on yourself without spilling a little bit on somebody else. So as we drop our little drops of perfume, or we drop our little nuggets of a smile, we drop our little nuggets of even a silent hello, or an acknowledgement of someone that's passing by, this is how we are spreading this consciousness. This is how we are living a life that ensures the reproduction and the continuing of its essence. Chop wood, carry water. I think we've all heard this Zen proverb. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The inner truth of who and what we are, perfect love, expressing and experiencing itself in and through and as us, does not change. So before enlightenment, we chop wood, we carry water. After we become aware of the true essence and the true nature of who we are, we chop wood and we carry water. So our task does not change, but it is the consciousness we bring to the task that change. Our awareness of our oneness deepens. Our sense of connection to the whole infuses our every action with more love. Our grounding in truth infuses our simplest act with a light that might save one life or may save the world. Our awareness of this truth is in alignment with it, and it expands. We awaken to a new truth that we are bigger than we thought we were. And from this newly awakened perspective, we can see that the suffering, hate, and anger in our society are not invitations to feed more energy into that problem. They become our call to action for positive change. We remember that God is in the details and guides each perfect new step. Our attention to every detail is imbued with love. Love expresses itself in our every activity, whether it's chop wood, carry water, or something big and brave that we've never done before. And so our call to action this morning is to step into the larger, deeper knowing of truth, the truth of who we are. And we feel ourselves getting happier, freer, and lighter. Observe how we are more willing to trust Spirit to support and guide us in ways that we previously didn't notice or understand. Observe how ego-constructed barriers, boundaries, and boxes start to dissolve and are replaced by love that permeates our consciousness. Observe new ways we are learning to connect with our higher good and to live a more fully abundant alignment with it. Observe how we stand in our power, allowing us to transform this new sense of being into spirit-centered, love-motivated action. We know the divine reality within each of us inspires us to be our own unique expression of the One. Our individual identity, our divine identity, that is within is that which inspires us to be our own unique expression of the One. I think there may be several books that have titles similar to this, but the one I'm thinking of is Be Your Own Self, because everyone else is taken. Be your own self, because everyone else is already taken. Know that divine possibility invites us into action, and divine guidance answers our open question, what is mine to be and do? Once we get Spirit's answer, be it the faintest glimmer or the whole big fireworks explosion, it's up to us to say yes and to make room for this expression to expand in our lives. Quoting Ernest Holmes again from the book Love and Law on page 15, paragraph 3, he says, "Now, we must open up the doors of our consciousness and expand and expand and expand, and no longer think in terms of the backyard lot, but in terms of the infinite nature of the universe." So we expand our awareness beyond our backyard lot, no matter how large or small it is, into the greater awareness of the infinity of the universe. It's time now to leap into our new, now, what's next activity. And invite us now to say together our affirmation. I will say it, and then I will invite you to respond back. Grounded in truth, I step forward into ever greater good. So, grounded in truth, I step forward into even greater good. And I invite us to turn within as we recognize this all-prevailing presence that is the very essence of our life. Knowing that there is only one life. That life is God's life. It is divine. It is perfect. It is whole. It is complete. It is the life that I am living right here and right now. And it is the life of everyone who is present in our center or who are joining us virtually through Zoom or on demand via YouTube and Facebook. I know this morning that this divine life is showing up in magnificent and marvelous ways, and that there is an opportunity for each one to go within and in the silence of our own spirit, in the silence of our own beingness, we open to the divine stillness and we listen for direction and we follow that direction. Even though that direction may not be clear or we may question, where are we going? Where am I going with this? Why is Spirit guiding me in this direction? And yet, if I trust and know that I am always divinely guided because I am an expression of the divine and it makes no mistakes, then I follow this path with ease and grace and joy and wonder and excitement about what's next. What's next? What's next? And as I affirm this what's next in my life, I invite each one to ask that inner question of your own self. What's next? What's next? What's next? What is Spirit's call? What is the whisper that I need to listen to? And as I open myself to divine guidance and divine instruction, I know that the way is made clear, and I follow it, and I give thanks for it. I speak my word this morning, blessing our spiritual community and blessing all communities where People are gathering in the name and nature of the oneness of all that there is, known by many names in many different traditions, traveled by many paths. Along the way, our paths may intersect or they may be parallel. And arriving at that fork in the road, I know that I am divinely guided to go right or to go left, or even to go straight and create a new path where no path previously has existed. So listening within, I just say yes. I say yes to the divine guidance that is living and expressing itself in and through and as me. And I speak my word this morning for those who are experiencing transitions in their lives. The transition of a loved one who may have closed this chapter in their continuing book of life and have opened up a new page. And they're writing a new chapter that is invisible to us, and yet they remain dear in our hearts and in our minds and live on in our conscious awareness of the contributions and the gifts that they made to our lives. Those who are transitioning from right livelihood into a greater self-expression of divine substance, divine flow, I am declaring and affirming that everything is unfolding as it should be right here and right now, and that all needs are met. Everything that is required to live the magnificent life of spirit is provided right here and right now. And for so much more than I have words for to express in this moment, I give thanks. And I release this treatment, I release this prayer, I release these words into that immutable law, which always says yes. And I just allow it to be so in my life and in the life of each one that is hearing this treatment this morning. Letting it all go. I know it's done. I know it's complete. And I invite you to affirm this with me if anything resonates as true for you by saying, and so it is. And so it is. And it is now time for our abundance, for our sharing of abundance. And we have an affirmation of abundance that I think we know. Okay. I can say it, and those who know it along with me can say it. I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And for those of you who are here in the center, we have a donation box that is on the hospitality table in our fellowship area, and we invite you to leave your contributions there. For those of you who are viewing online, our mailing address for those who wish to send their donations by mail is 400 West Franklin Street, Monterey, California, 93940. You may also text to give. That number is 831-246-9694. And you may also donate online to our website, montereycsl.org. And while you're on our website, I invite you to look at the new and enhanced features that are there. And if you're not a subscriber to our newsletter, our weekly newsletter, please click on the subscribe button there so that you know what is happening in our center. And I just have a few highlights for our virtual community to be aware of. We're continuing to celebrate the season of nonviolence, which goes through April the 8th. Women's History Month will conclude on next Sunday, which is also Easter Sunday. We're celebrating with our people of the Islamic faith Ramadan, with our Christian friends and brothers and sisters and family members. We're celebrating Holy Week, and we invite you to join us next Sunday for our Easter celebration service. And so for our viewers who are viewing on demand via Facebook and YouTube, we invite you to like, comment, and share our page, and to return next Sunday, where we will conclude our series for the month with the topic, Don't Go Back to Sleep. Now that we have awakened to the reality of who we are as spiritual beings, let's not go back to sleep. And so we say good morning to our virtual community and invite our Zoom family to continue to stay with us.